तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरि ओम। See, self-inquiry or self-analysis means to understand the various ways your mind is functioning and how it is holding you a hostage. And in that understanding, how your mind is holding, you subdue the mind, you control the mind. This is spiritual. This is doing self-analysis. The other is to do the textbook analysis. Textbook self-analysis is to go through a particular pattern to imitate. We just go on repeating, who am I? I am Gajapati. That is your name. That is not who you are. Then I am this, I am that. And then finally you come to, in fact, even if you do that textbook wise, it is a great thing. It's not that, you should not do it, but you start from textbook. You start with that. Most of us get involved in the very first step itself. You believe yourself to be the name. I am so and so. I am this. That is why anyone on the roadside were to call your name. That's why I love to go to this Kabalishwara temple. They're small. Because there, all those people who come there, they'll keep on saying, Ishvara, Ishvara. I used to get a kick out of it. They're calling him, not me. But still, that name gives a kick. You see, you don't even recognize that you are not the name. Your association is so deep with that. That name equals you think. You see, from there you have to slowly move out and say, no, I am not just that name. I am that. Then immediately he says, I am Prince. That's very interesting. If you read the text, he says, I am the Prince of this state. Now, like that, you also say what? I am a businessman. I am a doctor. I am a lawyer. Or you say, I am a housewife. I'm sorry, now you can't say housewife. Nowadays, you have to call them homemakers. I am a homemaker. That's it. Now, you get so lost in that one role that you play in life. See, you being a businessman is just one part of you. That's it. That's not total you. Isn't it? Do you live your life as a businessman or you live your life as a being, human being? And then he comes, then he drops that, and then he further probes and he comes to the third step. He says, yeah, I'm a human being. To which the master again says, no, that's just a species you belong to. That's it. You're not a bird, you're not a beast. You're a human, right? That's a species you belong to. That's it. What are you? You are not that name. You are not the role that you play. Itself is a very, very high degree of self-analysis. That's why a lot of people, go through this retirement depression. Why? Only the employed people go for retirement. Nobody retires otherwise. Politician will not retire unless he becomes incapacitated to function. There are politicians, even in wheelchair, they still continue. Will not. There's no such thing called retirement for a politician. Similarly, there is no such thing called a retirement for a businessman. Also, he will continue to be a businessman. Even in his deathbed, he will be a businessman only. What happened in the shop? Last thing he has to, is the account settled today? Is what he will ask. Even in deathbed, he will not think of anything else. That's just one role that you play in life. You take that one role to be the total being. And then he thinks, I'm going to do self-analysis. Then he says, I'm going to do self-inquiry. Who am I? And then you get the textbook answer. What is the textbook answer? Depending on which text you are reading, that's about it. If you are reading Vedanta, you will say, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am the self. I am Atman, I am Brahman. You will say this. Or else if you are reading some other textbook, you will say something else. I am the truth, reality. What is that reality? The fellow says, where the thoughts originate and where the thoughts merge into. That is your real nature. That is what you are. And we know he has been reading Ramana's works. That's all. It depends on what you are reading. He just goes and sits and you go on repeating that answer. That is not going to help you, please. What is going to be helping you is to do this inquiry. In fact, only when you start this inquiry, you have turned spiritual. Whole life, whole thing I'm equating only from the direction, from that one aspect of my personality. The total personality is beyond all this role that I play. What is driving me to play the role? Whether I play the role of a businessman, I play the role of a father, I play the role of a son, I play the role of a friend, I play the role of a boss, I play the role of a neighbor, a citizen, a player, a teammate, whatever the role that you play. What is that is driving you constantly in and through all the roles that you play in life? That is your mind and intellect. That is the mind. That is the intellect. Now, how is it that your mind is functioning? How is it that your intellect is functioning? What is the role that it is playing in your life? Every action of yours. Is it driven by mind or is it driven by intellect? To inquire into that and see. In that understanding, in and through all the desires that I am being pursuing, what is it that I am expecting out of the fulfillment of that particular desire? Of course, I desire to get a car. Of course, I have a desire. I genuinely feel that I need a car. Not me personally, I'm just saying as an example. Genuinely, a person feels, I need a house. Don't you need a house like this? Genuinely you feel. Or else, genuinely you get a particular idea, a goal. So this is where the problem is in life. You have different goals in life. Also, you have different desires in life. And the tragedy is, most of the time, the desires are conflicting with each other, contradicting desires, or desires contradict the goal, or the goals themselves contradict each other. I have a goal of this. Is that goal driven by what? What is that is driving the goal? That is a good question we ask. Based on that comes out of that comes an understanding. That understanding, that knowledge is the true knowledge of your personality, what you are. In that understanding, automatically your mind subdues itself. It falls in line, automatic it is. That automation, if automatic effect, will result in something. That is what we saw in the last class. Suppose if we say, yes, I am doing all these things, I am doing spiritual activities. Whatever you do in the name of spiritual, whatever practices that you do in the name of spiritual, we need to know whether am I doing it in the way I am supposed to be doing. This we try to analyze with the particular test. What is the test? The testing can be done from two angles. One, when I'm putting in the effort itself, I can test. One. Two, based on the effect, we understand the effort. If that effect does not come about, we can infer the effort is lacking. You see, I work, I study so well. How do you know I have studied well? That is why we conduct exams and we give marks to the kids, to the student. Student is supposed to be writing the exam and get marks. Based on the marks that he has, we infer what? He must have known the subject. If you don't know the subject, you can't get marks. How can you know the subject unless you have studied the subject? Therefore, the student who scores 95 and above is treated differently than a student who scores 60 than the student who scores 20. Because when the student, now you can't go back and saying on the day of the exam, the student who studied so well had migraine. Therefore, the student couldn't write exam. Therefore, they scored only 45 marks. Those exceptions we can't go by. See, the rule is what? The rule is generally, if a person has good marks, that means he has written exams well. He can write exams well only if he knows the answers. He can know the answers only if he had studied. Therefore, if he had studied, he will get good marks. Cause, effect. There is profit. Right. That means what? The person who is doing business has been doing well. That's what profit is. If they are winning tournaments, consistently, if the team is winning tournaments, we understand what? The players have been practicing very well. One match you can win out of luck. Right. But you can't be winning consistently all the matches. So we go by what? We go by the effect. We infer the effort. Similarly, we claim that we are doing spiritual activities. We have engaged in spiritual effort. We are all, being spiritual and striving in the path. You say, how do you know whether you are striving itself, first of all? You can keep claiming that I am striving, but you claiming has no meaning. See, it should produce a particular effect. Now you say, what is the test? There are two ways in which we identify. One, when you are putting in that effort, we know whether you are putting in effort or not. If there is any effort in anything, there is one consequence all of us experience. When we say that I am exercising, that means what? I go to gym and I exercise. What is the proof that I have done exercise today? Today I did properly. Exercise being done properly. How do you know that? When you come back, you should come back with soreness. Your muscle should feel sore. There should be exertion. Exertion means there is X amount of pain. Right? There is pain. In the initial stages, the pain will be much more. That's why we say, first day to go to gym is not a problem. The third day going to gym is a problem. See, first day everybody will go and do exercise, not an issue. Then what happens there? There will be little only they do first day. Second day they will start doing more. Suddenly what happens? All the muscles were torn apart. And you start recognizing there are so many muscles are there in the body. Only after you start exercising. Till then you won't even know those muscles do exist in the body. How do you know there is pain? How do you know whether the student had studied so much? Post study session, he should feel so exhausted and tired. Post study session, the student were to look so fresh. That means what? He didn't study at all actually. He just went to school, he was enjoying, playing with friends, talking in the class, going to the canteen. He had spent a good time and he is back from school. That's it. If there is any effort, remember, every effort means exertion, means pain. Now, in that spiritual effort that you claim, do you experience any pinpricks? Is there a pinprick in your spiritual effort? You say, sir, attending your class is a spiritual effort. But is there a pinprick? Is there a strain? Is there a pain? If there is no pain at all, there is no exertion at all. If there is no exertion at all, there is no effort at all. Go backwards. Straight away you can identify. Right now you can identify whether this is painful or not. That is why I said, switch on the video becomes painful for people. Why? Suddenly you have to come 5 minutes early, dress yourself up appropriately. If the video is off, you can keep skipping, you can keep walking, you can be sleeping also. You can lie down also in your bed and keep listening to, so comfortable. And you can have your lunch, keep eating like you watch, popcorn. Movie theater you go, you keep eating popcorn and watching a movie. Same way you will sit here and keep watching also. It will not help you at all in any way. Why? Sir, there is no pain involved. There is no effort at all. What is effort? To keep things ready. Now for every class, it takes about 25 minutes to set up. I have to sit about 25 minutes in advance and set the whole thing and go every class. What is effort for you now? Do you spend 25? I'm not saying all of you should spend 25 minutes before the class, please. Even if you come online 25 minutes before, nothing will be there. There is an effort. There is an exertion. That effort, every class, we strive to make it better. How to make it better? How to make it better? How to do this? How to do that? Everything has to be learned and done from the scratch. It's an effort. In that effort, there is pain. And you should be willing to go through that pain with pleasure. This is called titiksha in Sanskrit. One of the preparatory qualifications required for spiritual one. It's only preparation, please. This is not. This is qualification for spiritual thing. If you say that I want to become spiritual, I want to go in search of God, first requirement is what? You must have titiksha. Titiksha means the capacity to go through pain with pleasure. That's called titiksha. Unpleasant experiences I go through with pleasure. It's not comfortable. It is so painful. It is such a nuisance. It's such an irritation. But you do it with such a pleasure. With joy you do it. That's called titiksha. But the pain is still there. It's not that there is no pain. There has to be that pain. It's not that a person who is exercising in the gym is doing it with pain. Of course, he's doing it with pain, but he goes day in, day out, every day he goes to gym with such a pleasure. Exercising becomes a pleasure for him. But of course, it is painful. They scream to have that one more lift. You see the gym, they scream, lungs out, and do. And the way they drop the weights, they just drop it, man. So they say dead weight. All that you have to do is what? Just lift it and stand up. That's all you need to do. Don't have to lift it up and all those things. Nothing you have to do. Just stand. That's it. Just stand. Just stand. You say, no. And you see them on the floor. They just collapse, as it were, after exercise. That pain, if you are not experiencing, you go to temple. Every Friday I go to temple and come back. What happens? Nothing. You go to church or you go to mosque, you go to this Gurudwara, you go anywhere. You go for bhajans, you do this, you do that. Is there an exertion? Post. That is why we keep on repeating that test. Easily you can identify this in the spiritual effort called manana, reflection. This shravana, these rituals, the temples, and doing this, doing that, bhajans, and all those things are all. You don't understand that effort at all. Actually, there, real effort, because there is a lot of external support given. It's not done by you. The first spiritual effort done all by yourself, only by you, no one can help you, is self-inquiry, self-analysis. Nobody can help you here. You have to do it all alone by yourself. Like, for example, but bhajans, if you have to go, right? There are people who go for this bhajan sessions. We used to go in church in Chennai. bhajan session. Every session will be for 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours. No interval. Like movies also, they give interval gap and all. There is no interval also. Going on. When we come back, it will be very difficult for me to hold the cycle handbar because palms clapping will be burning actually. Return. But it's such a why? It works with that. It's nothing to do with my devotion, my bhakti, my bhavana. It is to do with what? Collective there. It's because of the presence of that master there, that man. The lead singer's beauty, the lead singer's personality, the lead singer, he decides the whole thing, not me. I go to the temple. The temple depends upon what? Depends on the Sannithyam of the deity. You see, God is everywhere, but only few temples have got this. Other temples have gone in a dilapidated state. Why? Because there is no Sannithyam this. The deity needs to be injected with power. How they do and all is a different one. That's an Agama tradition that they do, the temple things and all that. That's not our point. But it's not on me alone. You see, just that neighboring temple, Mylapore, people go. So many of them go to this Kabalishwara temple. Just this side you come, there is Vallishwara temple. Just the other side you go, Karmeshwara temple. All Shiva temple only. At least Vallishwara temple, few people know. Karmeshwara temple, hardly anyone knows also. Why? Is it to do with Shiva? No. It is to do with what? All the people who go there, who deposit the things. That creates. It's not me. It's not mine. The inspiration that I'm getting when I see the deity is not in my hands. It is in the deposit of the collective. Right? Attend lectures. So engrossed. For 1 hour you can sit and listen to the talk. After that you have your dinner and listen to another talk. Another 1 hour also you can listen to. There's no problem. Why? Because of the speaker's expertise to speak. It's not wholly yours. But when you start this self-inquiry, which is where the first step, the first baby step that you take all by yourself without the support of the walker. When you start, that is where you recognize the pain involved in that. That's why most of us go on doing the rituals, pilgrimages, temple, bhajan, reading, listening, all that people do. All this has a tremendous appreciation. Lot of following is there for that practice. Hardly we see people practicing this self-inquiry. Why, sir? Because all other things can be supported from external. The self-inquiry, no support from external, which is what technically we call as mananam in Sanskrit. This is known as mananam, reflection. What do you reflect? You reflect on two things. Who is God? Macrocosmically, if you want to understand. Externally, you want to understand. You internalize the same thing. Who am I? It's the same thing. You probe who am I. You conclude with understanding what is God. Who is God? You start with the inquiry of who is God. You will understand the answer for who am I. Because it is the same thing. That's what Vedanta says. Tattvamasi. You are that. So you go in this direction or you go in that direction. It's only two directions. That's about it. Inside, outside. Outside in, inside out. Starting point. The starting point can be outside, conclusion is inside, or starting point is inside, concluding outside. Starting with who am I, conclude with who is God, or start with who is God, conclude with who am I. But either case, that inquiry has to be done by you alone, and that is very painful. If you have never experienced the pain of inquiry, you can understand that you are yet to start spiritual. Your spiritual journey starts with, that's why the first chapter in practical Vedanta, he gives his self-analysis. This human composition is anatomical one. There's no application there. The previous chapter, human composition, is purely anatomy. But here is where philosophy starts, spiritual starts, religion starts. For those who say inside out, it's called spiritual. Those who start from outside in, that's called religion. That's all. It is the same thing. It's just two angles, two words being used. So how do you know that you are putting spiritual effort? Are you being spiritual? In that so-called spiritual practices, do you experience pain, that strain? Is there a strain there? Is there a pain there? If there is no pain at all, if you say that I have become so comfortable, I'm able to lift it so comfortable, if I can lift that 10 pounds comfortably, that's not exercise. You see, when you can lift 10 pounds comfortably, the gym instructor will give you 12 pounds. He'll give 15 pounds. He say, now lift 15 pounds. The first day you go to gym, will not give 15 pounds to you. He will give only 3 pounds. He'll say, lift that 3 pounds and do exercise. But the strain by that person and the strain experienced by the one who is lifting 15 pounds, also the one who is lifting 30 pounds, the strain has to be there. Now, if the person who is come to 30 and he keeps lifting 25 pounds, of course, 3 pounds, 25 pounds is a world of difference. But who is exercising now? The one who is lifting 3 is exercising. The one who is lifting 25 is not exercising. Why is that? There's no strain. He's simply standing there. You simply go to gym and stand there and keep looking here and there and go back. He is not exercising at all. Similarly, do you feel any pain in the so-called spiritual effort in your life? In the spiritual life of yours, is there a strain? Is there a pain? Now, the pain cannot be to such an extent where you collapse. Then it is wrong. You see, if there is no pain at all, you will never grow. Nor can you have pain to such an extent where you break down. This is what happens to people. Either no pain at all, and there are few take to it with over enthusiasm and do so much and get giddiness and fall. We're not supposed to drink water. So what to do, sir? They take in teaspoons. Whether you are seeing the gym. I've seen one fellow there. He'll take water in teaspoon. He'll just take one sip, a teaspoon, and exercise. And he says he is striving to get that, 8 packs, not 6 packs. He says 6 packs is for ordinary people. He says, I'm striving for 8 packs. And he had 8 packs. But then what? Collapse. You collapse in that effort. Either overdoing or underdoing, never doing. So, how do you know that you are being spiritual? Effort. That what is the quantum of pain? There should be a little strain you must experience the whole day. There is no pain at all, and there is no effort. One. Then there is another one. Now we go to the effect part. When you are putting in that effort itself, you can identify. Then your effect of spirituality is what? Now, this is what a lot of people say. I started attending Vedanta class. Now, what is it, sir? I am not getting any more anger. My anger has really subsided. I don't get angry. I don't get agitated. I am not getting depressed. This is not the right test, please, because there is a very good possibility that you can misinterpret. At least earlier, you are sensitive. Now you have become numb. You see, now we think that is being spiritual. Earlier, at least you are attached. Now you have become indifferent. Earlier, at least you had little, concerns and attachments were there. Now what had happened, sir? You have become totally indifferent personality. Your personality has become so indifferent. You don't care. See, this is not growth, please. Now I am detached. I'm not getting affected now. There's a very good possibility. See that testing things should never be in such a way that we can misunderstand it. Misinterpretation. There should not be a misinterpretation, or there should not be a misunderstanding. Misinterpretation, misunderstandings and all you should not have from the test. The readings have to be very clear. The parameters have to be a foolproof parameters for us to identify. We can't give room for error there. So these sort of things, most of the time we see people claiming these things, and we are also very happy. We'll also say, "What? Yeah, earlier you are getting angry. Now I'm not getting angry. Earlier I used to, keep barking at everyone. I keep shouting all the time. Now I'm not doing all those things. Earlier like this, now like this. Earlier like this, now like this." This analysis has flaws. There is a lot of flaw there. Why? Because earlier you claimed that anger is wrong. On what basis? In Tamil, there's a great poet called Bharadiyar. He says, Raudram Palagu, he says. Learn and practice rage. He says, not even anger. He says, Raudram Palagu, he says. You got to learn and practice it. Nothing wrong in that, please. Now, I'm not saying immediately your anger is correct. No. That's what. Now, this is where teaching Vedanta is the most difficult thing to do. Because anything we say, you'll misunderstand. I said that anger is not the right one. So, no, man. Because of this problem, you have to learn and practice anger. Now, immediately you will say, what? That's exactly what I'm doing. They'll say. Then we'll say, no. You can have anger. But then what, sir? You should learn to use your temper, not lose your temper. I repeat. Somebody would say, beautiful statement of this, one of my favorite ones. You should never lose your temper. You should learn to use your temper. Now that you have heard this is my Bhashya. What he gives is a, cryptic statement. Sutra. Sutra is that. Now, my Bhashya is this. I say, now that I have heard this, Next time, anywhere I get angry, I will say what? I am using my temper. Every time you lose your temper, you will start justifying, saying what? I'm only using it. You see? I'm only using it. I'm only using it, you will say. This is the danger of Vedanta study. You see? Be careful. Don't try to fool the world, because you will be. That's what Ramtirtha says. Don't try to throw dust into the eyes of God, for you shall be blinded. Don't try to throw dust into the eyes of God, for you shall be blinded. Don't make that mistake. So one fellow asked, why is it so? He said, because you are God. How is it so? Yes, very simple, man. Because you are God. That is why. Don't try all that. Don't try to fool the world. And you will become a fool. Be careful. This reduction of stress, reduction of agitation, anger is not a foolproof one. Okay. Then what we can take, sir? Read in the scriptures, you read, a spiritually evolved person is one who is dynamic. You also start becoming that. Now the problem is every one of us believe we are all dynamic. That is the issue. Okay? So you'll say what? Already I'm dynamic. Why? I'm so busy. So even in lockdown, people are so busy. Everybody is busy. Nobody has time. Everyone is busy. Which means what? You read there dynamism, and you see here you are so busy doing so many things. Okay, you will come to conclusion what? Oh, doing more and more and more is called dynamism. I am also doing more and more and more and more and more. Therefore, what? I am growing spiritual. Now, this is the other problem. And you can read something like this and start imitating. For example, you say, what is lacking in this country? Yes, cleanliness. Now, who is a spiritual person? A spiritual person is one who is clean. Now, what you do? You can imitate cleanliness. You can start cleaning things. A spiritual person wakes up early in the morning, 4 o'clock. You can imitate waking up 4 o'clock. And by virtue of you also waking up 4 o'clock, you say what? Yes, see, he gives 35 qualities. Of 35 qualities, I have this. Therefore, 35 out of 18 out of 35 I have already. Only the rest of it is missing in me. All that I have to do is what? Cultivate those things also. I will become spiritual. It's very easy to imitate. See, very simple to imitate. All that you have to do is, just go on looking at something. You can imitate. And many times the imitation will look better than the original. See, like one person went and told Swamiji, you are also speaking exactly like Ishwaran. I said, what? Same thing he also says. They went and told him, he also says the same thing. He said, hey, imitation, imitate. And go on imitate. Imitating what? The way he walks, the way he sits, the way he dresses, the way he laughs. Hairstyle. You see, all that you can also develop. Over a period of time, it will come. And you will start believing what? I am becoming spiritual now. I am also becoming like him. Therefore what? I am also becoming spiritual. And he is spiritual, no? Now, is there any doubt? He is not spiritual or what? No, no. So, if he is spiritual, I am also behaving like him, then I am also spiritual. So, all that I have to do is what? Make certain behavioral adjustments. That's about it. Vedanta says, no, that is not the criterion to decide whether your spiritual efforts are there. Then you get really bugged. You say, hey, if this is also not, that is also not. So there should not be a test that we are supposed to be using should be out of two doshas. There should not be these two flaw. One, misinterpretation possibility, misunderstanding possibility. Two, possibility for imitation. I should never be able to imitate. Cheerful. That's another example I give. Cheerful. A spiritual man is very cheerful. So what all of you do? Cheerful person, what he will do always? Smiling. So what we also do? You can imitate smile. You can keep laughing all the time. That doesn't make you spiritual, please. Then we need a yardstick, a test. The test that can never be misunderstood or imitated. What is the test? Vedanta gives that. This gives a test. You say the test of spiritual growth is concentration capacity. The capacity in you to concentrate. That's called spiritual growth. If your concentration power is not increasing, I will come back to it. What is concentration and all that? That's what spiritual path is. This practice of karma, bhakti, jnanam will lead you to uparati, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. This is the progression. Uparati is what? Mental withdrawal. Dharana, concentration. The test of spiritual growth is the power of concentration should keep increasing. Now, what is concentration, sir? Concentration means, this is where the problem is. We don't understand. Without getting too technical, right? Your concentration means your personality in one place. Your gross body and subtle body in one place. That is called concentration. When you are performing action, your mind should be backing that action under the supervision of the intellect. This is the technical definition. A complete definition for concentration is a complete understanding is when body is performing action, mind should be behind that action and your intellect is supervising the action and the mind. So under the supervision of the intellect, when the mind is staying behind action, that is called concentration. Right now, there is no concentration. Or what is an obstacle or a problem for us is the mind never stays behind action, behind their experience. Mind keeps wandering everywhere. Mind keeps moving. It keeps slipping out of the present action, present experience. Right? What is making the mind move away from the present experience, present action? That is the strength of your desires. See, mind means what? Desires, likes and dislikes. Since you are having very many desires, and those desires are all so intense, so strong, the mind keeps running. It automatically keeps pushing itself into that action, beyond that action. It moves to that one. So as I'm experiencing this, as I'm going through the current experience, the mind switches off to some other experience, some other action. That is lack of concentration. Why that is happening? Because of the strength of desires. Now, what is spiritual? Spiritual means the effort to reduce my desires. Reduction of desires is spiritual. When I reduce my desires, when the intensity of the desires were to reduce, automatically mind will stay behind the action. That's all. You are doing a particular action. Why are you doing it? Because of the desire only, no? Go backwards. Go earlier. We have studied this earlier. Those who have not studied, go back to the chapter, Exigency of Action, where we studied the chronology of action. Every action is preceded by desire. Every desire preceded by thought. Every thought preceded by vasana. Vasana, thought, desire, action. So you perform an action. Why? Because of the desire. Now, as I am performing the action, suddenly the mind switches off to another desire. Why? Because that desire is pressurizing now. Now I have to move to that action. Before I commence that action, continue that action, and conclude that action, mind picks up another desire. Now I have to move to another environment. Now I have to move to another environment. I have to move to another environment. That is not possible physically, isn't it? Now, as I am talking to you people, suddenly I switch off to a desire to go to Chennai. Why? I referred Kabalishwara temple. So what I want now, suddenly my mind says, go to Mylapore. Let's go there. Can I disappear like that from here and go there immediately? No. It will take minimum 6.5 hours for me to go from here to there. Physically not possible. But mind can do what? As I am speaking, I can completely ignore this and my mind can go to Mylapore. Body is sitting here. Body is sitting, body is talking, body is cooking, body is writing, body is listening, body can do anything. Body can go on having that particular experience. But there is a mind, sir. Mind has already switched off there, which means body in one place, mind in another place. In fact, our personality is body in one place, mind in many places. This split is what is causing agitation, devolution, stress, depression, dejection, everything in life. All your problems of life can be reduced only to this one problem. What is it, sir? Body in one place, mind in very many places. That's the problem. Why that's happening? Because of the pressure of desires. My liking to that experience is so much, but body cannot go just like that. But by the time body has to move from here to that, no other desire should surface in my mind. Only the desire, only the thought of Mailapur should exist for next 6.5 hours. Then there's no problem for me. The issue is what? The moment I get into the car, suddenly the thought pitches up to something else. It says, I haven't been to Vedanta Academy for the last 1 year. I want to go and visit my guru. Haven't seen him for such a long time. Now what? Body is moving in the direction of Chennai. Mind is already wanting it to move towards Bombay, torn apart. This split slowly starts merging, reducing, converging. As that thing converges, what will be happening? Whatever you are experiencing, whatever you are acting, your mind will stay till the completion of that experience, till the conclusion of that action. Right? Or else what? It will keep moving. So body and mind will move together. That is called concentration. Integrated personality. Unified personality. When you are not able to unify the body and mind itself, which is known to you, okay, we are attempting what? Union with the self, union with God. They say, Lusa pani, they say no, like that. This you are not able to do. What? Body is known to you, mind is known to you. When you are able to move, then comes very many things here. This is not just like that, please. Then we need to identify, sir, is it possible for me to imitate concentration? See, an evolved person has concentration. Now, remember, if I have a very good degree of concentration, does it mean that I can understand mathematics? Huh? I have high degree of concentration. Therefore, can I understand music? See, understanding a subject is different. Don't think that is to do with your intellectual capacity and the training. You see, your training and intellectual capacity, that defines. Now, if you bring a person with good concentration, means he can understand everything, wherever, that will not happen, please. The capacity to gain knowledge, capacity to understand is different. Capacity to focus is different. You see, instead of action, you just take it as experience. It will be very easy to understand. Your ability to go through an experience without slipping out, without moving away from that experience. That power is called power of concentration. Otherwise, we don't understand. To become good in a particular field, you don't need concentration, please. There's no necessity. You see, to excel in a particular field, do you require concentration? No, it's not necessary. Then what is necessary? If you have a strong liking, all that you need to do is develop a strong liking for that particular thing. You can excel in that field. That will keep it going. The mind itself, when it likes something, will stay. You see, then it is not concentration. Remember, you see, that's why we need to understand the concept concentration properly first. If you understand concentration properly, then you will never be able to go through this one. One is very easy. One aspect, one problem with reference to the test, very easy to overcome. That is, you cannot imitate concentration. That is not possible. You cannot imitate that. But there is a possibility to misunderstand. Not misunderstand concentration or you having concentration. You can misunderstand the concept concentration, for which you need to gain that knowledge. That's about it. You need to understand what is concentration. So people think, concentration means, I will become better in that. No, it's not necessary, please. And any particular field, that's why you see a batsman in a cricket match. When he is batting, he has a tremendous concentration. Ask him to bowl, no? Tell him, keep that place there and say, throw the ball in that particular spot. They cannot throw. They cannot bowl. Why? But when he is batting, he has concentration. When he is batting, there is concentration. Take him to another place. Take him to a music concert. Can he concentrate? He cannot. See, if he has a concentration power, he should be able to concentrate in music also. No, he cannot do there. Why? Because what was driving him to stay behind that action of batting, while batting, is a tremendous like he has for the sport. Like most of us don't have that much of liking. We have only lukewarm. Like music concert you go, it's very interesting to see people. The music concert. Go. When they have that superficial passing interest in music, when you see them, we find these people sit through the music for the first 45 minutes. After about 45 minutes or 1 hour, you say what? When he starts singing alap, he will go on itself for 45 minutes, he will go on singing. And you see people around. And once the Mridangam fellow starts, then they get involved. Just have, phases of music you can enjoy, but not total. Even if you enjoy the total music concert also, what is controlling there is a strong like is overpowering and subduing other likes, as a result of which the mind is behind the experience. That's about it. If there is another desire comes up, this like is so strong, it will subside, it will dismiss it, it will say, no, keep aside, don't come and disturb now. It will remove all other thought. It will not allow any other desire to surface, any other like or dislike to surface during that period of that action where there is a tremendous liking. That's why nowadays people give as a advice also. What sort of a career you got to choose in life? Choose a career that you like the most. And this fellow says, I don't like anything. Now what am I to do? That's where parents get annoyed. You see, the fellow says, I don't like anything. I like watching cricket match, not playing. Now what to do? Now how can you make a career out of watching a cricket match? You're playing a cricket match depending upon the skill and this, that, either you can play first division and then this division, that division and all that. That is a different thing. Watching a cricket match, there is a passion. What you will do? Concentration means mind stays behind the current experience. But the mind is so cunning. I'll leave you with this. Think about it. Okay. When you are learning something, when you are lacking concentration, see, imagine that I'm talking to you now. Suddenly I lose concentration in the talk for something. Okay, something happens, some thought comes, suddenly I switch off. Suddenly I start thinking. Now you would see I start talking unconnected. Okay, that's why there is an inbuilt focus when you speak. When you listen, you don't have that much of intensity. Have you seen? When you speak, there is tremendous focus and intensity you bring in. When you're listening, you don't bring in that intensity. Is there? It's so glaring. You can easily identify I am losing concentration. That's what even this batsman, commentators and all will say, hey, the batsman is losing concentration. You say, he is losing concentration. He's losing concentration. But the batsman doesn't know that. We can identify why he's slipping. He's slipping out. You can identify that when they are performing action. That is why if the mind is not allowed to stay, mind wants to keep wandering. That's the nature of mind. Right? That mind, to stay behind the action, it should not wander. And we want that action to come out perfect. Because of what? We want the result. We want the fruit. Fruit of action will come to me only if my action is perfect. An imperfect action cannot produce the desired result. So the mind wants the result. I cannot get the result without the effort, without action. That action is not possible without backing of the mind, which is concentration. I want all those things. Parallelly, the mind also wants to wander. How to achieve both? And the mind is so cunning. Now we think mind is only, mind is so old. You see, is thousands and thousands of years old our mind is. Ways are so cunning. The way the mind devises is to develop a skill in the performance of action. When you perform that action, it starts developing a particular skill, a perfection, wherein there is no necessity for the mind to be staying behind the action. Even if it wanders, there will not be any disturbance to the performance of action. Action will continue. Like you say, Rama, 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 you keep on saying, over a period of time, the mind will develop such a skill in chanting that Nama without any necessity that mind has to be behind the chanter. Mind can keep wandering, but chanting will happen perfectly. The mind is telling you what? Hey, you want the result for which action should be done properly. The action is done properly. You are getting the result. Why are you asking me to stay behind? I can keep moving. I don't have to be there. Like most of you switch off the video, no? Hey, my point of attending the class is what? I want to listen to Ishwaran, for which I don't have to keep my video. Or if I can keep my speaker on is enough. There's no necessity of all these things, you see. It's not needed. That is the time where the mind develops wandering. In that wandering, it intensifies the desires, further losing your concentration. Think about it. We'll catch you next class. Thank you.